Okay, we're moving right along with video 4 here in Wesch chapter 4 on language. We got as far as perfect pitch. We're talking about syntax. Syntax is basically sentence. Study of the organization of words into sentences, also known as sentences, into sequences, also known as sentences. This is where we actually have what you would call grammar, what your high school English teacher would call grammar. Linguists call syntax, the parts of speech, right? The only way you know that a noun is a noun in linguistics is because it takes an article. The only way you know a verb is because it works like a verb. There's no dictionaries, right? There's uh, no grammar books. You have to recognize the parts of speech just by the way they function when they're flying at you in sequences. Um, and so we call these sentences. Number 5, right? Phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, and semantics, the study of the meaning of words, phrases, sentences, and larger units of discourse. For example, we have literal meanings, figurative meanings, metaphorical meanings. We have different kinds of speech. We have instructions, we have directions, we have greetings and leave takings, we have sermons, many different ways of talking and different goals and purposes to our talking. So that's all under semantics. How words, what words, phrases, sentences, and paragraphs and others mean. Transcending space and time. Some languages require you to know what direction you're facing when you say hello, whether you're going uphill or downhill. Um, some languages require you to know the cardinal directions at all time. So if you're facing east, one foot is your north foot. Let's see, I am facing south right now. Goodness. Up on the chair here. I'm facing I'm facing south. I'm facing towards Cincinnati, and so this is my this foot here uh, is my west foot, and this one here is my east foot. But if I face east toward the rising sun, then this now suddenly becomes my south foot, and this one on the other side becomes my north foot. Isn't that crazy? So you always know in these languages exactly um, where you fit in relation to north, south, east, and west. The not, uh, understandably, I should have put it a picture, big picture for that. Sorry, you're looking at a little tiny picture of me. In any case, these are languages where people don't get lost. Transcending space and time. Yes. So the people who are best associated with this idea that language reflects your culture and the needs of your society are Edward Sapir and Benjamin Lee Whorf. Edward Sapir, of course, is a linguist, and Benjamin Lee Whorf, of course, is an insurance adjuster. This is the principle of linguistic relativity. Of course, an insurance adjuster. What's going on there? Well, this is where we say, what do insurance people do? So we have insurance salesmen there, just to sell you stuff. But once you have the claim, what is the goal of the adjuster? The adjuster comes, looks at your claim, and does what? Denies it. That's the goal. That's where you make your money. You sell the insurance, and you say, we're going to cover this. And then someone says, okay, I have this. And they say, no, 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 you have that. And we don't cover that. We have this. We would have covered it if it was this. But since you did that, we're not going to cover it. So this is how insurance works. This is where you make your money, is making sure that what you insure is very, very specifically defined. And it also involves language, right? So, for example, if you have a gas station, you're the owner of a gas station, you have it insured, and a couple of your workers are over there and smoking cigarettes next to the gas pump, and all of a sudden it blows up, and you go to your insurance adjuster and say, hey, you owe me $450,000. I got to replace that stuff. The insurance adjuster is going to say, sorry, you're bankrupt. You pay for it out of pocket. We're not touching it. Why? Because it wasn't a it wasn't a customer, right, who was smoking. It was an employee. It was someone that you should have trained, right? So you failed in your due diligence to make sure that your workers knew that gasoline is, what's the word? Uh, is it flammable or is it inflammable? We're in words here. You put up a sign, warning, right? What do you say? Do you say flammable or inflammable? Now, if you're speaking Spanish, it does actually work to say it's flammable. But if we're speaking English, English, it used to be, it was inflammable, right? So flammable materials are like wood or cloth that can catch on fire. They, if you um, if you put flame to them, they would catch fire. They can flame, right? But what inflammable has to do with is getting inflamed, right? Drawing flame into it, and so inflammable means something much more dangerous than flammable. And we get confused here because we think, oh, correct means right, and then incorrect means not right, right? So there's an in prefix that means the opposite of negative. But then there's also the inhale, right? Exhale, hail out, right? Breathe out. Inhale, breathe in, right? So there's another prefix in that means take in. And this is the one we're talking about when we talk about inflammable. It's not just that, like kerosene or diesel, if you soak a rag in kerosene or diesel and you light it, yeah, it'll catch on fire. Gasoline is the opposite of that. Gasoline puts off inflammable vapors. And so if there's a can full of gasoline, if there's a can full of diesel over there, and you take a lit match and drop it in the diesel, the match will go out, right? It's not gonna, you can't catch diesel on fire or kerosene. It has to be on something, and then it brings flames up. But gasoline, if you have a cup full of gasoline on the other side of the room and you strike a match over here, it's going to blow up because the vapors will travel over there and it will draw the flame to it, and it'll go kapow and it'll burn you. And everybody knows that about gasoline. It's highly inflammable, except people who don't. And people who don't need to be trained if that is their job. Um, so it used to be that the word was understood, inflammable, oh, inflamed, it's really, really scary. Um, but enough people didn't understand it. So now when you see trucks going by carrying gasoline, they don't say inflammable anymore. They say very flammable or extremely flammable. But that is Benjamin Lee Wharf. He was dealing with these. Oh, there's another one. There's another one had to do with MT. If you're flying, sorry, if you work around pressurized oxygen tanks. When it gets empty, they put MT on the side of it, and that means it's empty, right? And a lot of people think empty equals harmless because there's nothing bad in there. And so what they would do then um, is this actually happened. There was an airplane company called ValueJet that was pretty big out of Florida. And what happened was a couple of workers put oxygen tanks in one of the planes that were empty, that were empty. They had no. It doesn't mean empty, right? It's a pressurized tank, so it's always got air in it. You didn't suck the air. It's not a vacuum. So yeah, they ran out of air, which means that the air pressure inside the tank was the same as the air pressure outside the tank in Florida at sea level. So they tossed them on the plane. The plane goes 40,000 feet up. All of a sudden, you don't have that, that high, heavy air pressure down at sea level. You've got much, much lower air pressure, and so that tank that was empty is now highly, highly pressurized because it's in the oxygen, the cargo hold of the plane. And then something moved, something shifted, something blew up, and kaboom! Like 280 people dead. Um, and next thing you learn, ValueJet is out of business because that was employee error. That was a failure of ValueJet to properly do their due diligence and train their workers. As a result, they are stuck with individual claims of, like $3 million each or whatever it costs on each of those 280 people. They're like, shoot, we're out of business. Boom, right? We're not going to get covered. And sometimes, airlines go out of business over a single airline, a single airplane loss. And this is why. It's because of the power of language, failing to acknowledge the principle of linguistic relativity can kill your company due to liability insurance. and its limitations. So the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis in conclusion says that language can shape how we think. Languages express cultural emphases and nuances. Language and culture can influence one another. Language can affect perceptions, and perceptions can affect words. Different kinds of social and cultural groups use language in different ways. As I said, I've had students who spoke Spanish, and they said, in Spanish, flammable means inflammable. They don't have that. Inflammable means not flammable. The in and inflammable means it's not dangerous. So we have to remember that. And we're up over 10 minutes, so I'm going to stop it again and pick it up with speech variety on the next one. Maybe tomorrow if you're watching along right now. It's getting kind of late, 7 o'clock. Okay. See you later on the videos.